Did you ever wonder what bank reconciliation really is? Where do the ideas come from? What are we actually doing when we reconcile? And how is it done? Well, this video is going to give you a clear summary and overview of what bank reconciliation actually is. Now, before we jump right into the material, you should know that this video is only one video chapter as part of the entire bank reconciliation course, which is free right here on YouTube. So if you want to start as a beginner knowing nothing about bank reconciliation and finish as an absolute expert when doing bank reconciliation in QuickBooks Online, all you have to do is look in the description field of this video down below the table of contents, and you'll be able to get the link to the full bank reconciliation course that's free for everyone, everywhere, right here on YouTube. So what is bank reconciliation anyway? Well, very simply put, bank reconciliation is a procedure. It's something you do every time you receive a monthly bank statement from your bank or receive a monthly credit card statement from your credit card company. As soon as you get your monthly statement, you open up the bank reconciliation window in QuickBooks Online and begin the bank reconciliation process. Now, this is a very simple process to understand. All you're doing is comparing every transaction that you recorded in your QuickBooks Online records to the very same transactions that are listed on the bank or credit card statement. And if everything is the same, congratulations, you win. And it proves that your records are correct, which means your reports are at least mostly correct after you finish the bank reconciliation process. Now, here's the first big question that comes up as soon as I explain the bank reconciliation process. When you're comparing your transactions to the same ones on the statement, are you actually looking at every single field of data within every transaction that you're comparing in both places? Are you actually comparing the date of every transaction, the vendor or payee name of every transaction? Are you comparing the description and reason for every transaction? And the answer is no. You are not comparing every single field of data in every transaction in your records to every single field of data in every transaction listed on the statement. Even if you only had a few transactions, that would be crazy. So then the question is, what are you actually doing when you're comparing both one by one? You see, the bank reconciliation process only requires that you compare the transaction number and money amount of the transaction in your QuickBooks to the transaction number and money amount of the very same transaction listed on the bank or credit card statement. That's all you're doing when you're comparing numbers and doing the bank reconciliation. So then the question is, isn't it possible that some of the other fields of data could have a mistake? And the answer is yes. It is still possible to do the bank reconciliation and still have mistakes in the other fields of data that you did not check. But don't worry, because those other fields of data have separate techniques that I'm going to show you that will prove that all the other fields of data that we did not check during the bank rec process are also correct. And those videos are available for you right here. But there's something very important you should know. You cannot do any technique or any procedure that fixes any of the other fields of data until you do your bank reconciliation first. Because every procedure that you can do to fix all the other fields of data assume that bank reconciliation is finished and all of the numbers and all of the money amounts are correct. Then you can apply those other techniques. That's why we're going to mostly focus on just doing bank reconciliation and mastering every aspect therein. Now you can get to those videos later, but let's stop for a moment and consider exactly what does this process guarantee. Well, first of all, it clearly guarantees that you're not missing any transactions. Because if you're comparing the same transactions in your records one by one to all of the transactions on the statement, your eyes would clearly see something that's listed on the statement that they recorded that you forgot. And all you would have to do is pause the bank reconciliation process, go and record in your QuickBooks whatever you missed that showed up on the statement, and then go back to the bank rec process and continue reconciling. So you know there's at least nothing missing. Secondly, you also know that you don't have any duplicates or extra transactions. Because clearly, if you saw a duplicate or you saw a transaction in your QuickBooks that was not on the statement, then it's obvious that you recorded something that you should have never recorded. So your eyes will clearly show you if there's any transactions that you duplicated by accidentally recording them twice, or even recording an extra transaction that you should have never recorded. And lastly, it proves that the money amounts and transaction numbers of every transaction you recorded must be correct. Because that's exactly what you're comparing when you compare your records to the bank statement. So, bearing that in mind, with those things that it does guarantee, we now know that if you finish bank reconciliation properly, there's an absolute limit to how many remaining mistakes could be hiding inside your QuickBooks Online records. And again, you can fix those and you can get to those videos later. Now, when you think about the physical procedure that we are performing, when we physically compare one by one every transaction we recorded in QuickBooks to every transaction listed on the statement, all we're doing is marking off the very same transaction that we find in QuickBooks Online with the very same transaction that's listed on the statement. And of course, if they're both the same, we mark them as cleared and move on. And also, of course, if you find any difference, you stop and investigate. And that's clearly a common sense process. For example, if you found a difference in a check that you recorded in QuickBooks Online, and that's different from the very same check that was recorded and listed on the statement, it's easy to just stop and investigate. All you do is go back to the original source document, and in this example, it's a check if a check is different, and when you look at the actual check that you wrote, you will immediately know who made the mistake. If you make the mistake, you simply pause the bank reconciliation process, go and fix your mistake, then go back to the bank reconciliation process and continue to compare your transactions to the bank's. However, if the bank or credit card company made a mistake, you simply contact them and show them the source document or whatever proof you have that they made a mistake, and wait for them to send you a corrected statement. Once you have a corrected statement, you can begin fresh the bank reconciliation process. And the last logical question that always comes up whenever I explain what is bank reconciliation is, what if you and the bank made a mistake on the same transaction? Well, that shouldn't be a problem. For example, if you put the wrong money amount on one particular check and they put the wrong vendor name on that very same check, as you compare everything one by one, you will still see that the money amount on the one that you recorded is different. So, then the final question that someone always asks, what if both you and the bank made the exact same mistake on the exact same transaction? For example, a check that you wrote for $78, you accidentally recorded in QuickBooks as $87. And when the bank got that check, they didn't make a mistake on the date, they didn't make a mistake on the name, they made the exact same mistake and recorded a $78 check as $87 on the same check that you did. Well, let me tell you something. If that happens, I strongly suggest that you take those exact numbers and use them to play the lotto, because that type of mistake happening in both places at the same time will never come again for 1,000,000 years. And that's why we can rely on this process to prove that our entire set of QuickBooks Online records are correct to the last detail. Thank you so much for watching our video all the way till the end. If you'd like to be an expert in bank reconciliation, don't forget to look for the link to the full bank reconciliation course down below this video in the description field right here. That video is the absolute best video course you could possibly take if you're studying how to do bank reconciliation in QuickBooks Online. It's free for everyone, and it will give you everything you need.